What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gooner channel, a channel 100% dedicated to the Arsenal, who, as we all know, are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. And February's shaping up to be quite a month for us, full of good news. First of all, there was the very important victory over Liverpool at home on Sunday, beating them convincingly 3-1, totally dominating them, playing them off the park, and being the first real team to beat them this season, or at least the first team that didn't have VAR on its side. And the only thing that slightly let us all down was, of course, the fact that we expressed our joyfulness so publicly instead of stiff upper lip and moderate applause. Arteta and the players and all of the fans at the stadium went quite crazy, and Richard Keys has had a lot to say about that. And, of course, we all thoroughly respect Richard Keys. To be honest, it was a bit of a surprise to me that he's still working. But in any case, apart from that joyfulness, and how dare we enjoy football, apart from that joyfulness, it's been a really good month. And yesterday seemed to get even better because the Champions League squad was announced and there was Jurien Timber. Jurien Timber, who, as we all know, has been out since the very first game of the season with a cruciate ligament injury, has been named in the Champions League squad. And, well, does this mean that we can expect him to play a part towards the end of the season? Certainly would be like a brand new signing. Well, he is a brand new signing. It would just be great to see him be able to play some part in this season, particularly because there are so many big games coming up. Now, I don't want to pour cold water on this. I'm excited. I'm hopeful. But there is another way of looking at this. Of course, that first team, the A squad that's picked for the Champions League, really wasn't anyone else to put in there. It wasn't like we dropped someone to put him in there. Cedric's in there, and part of me thinks that we shouldn't let our excitement get the better of us, and that he might just be in there in case he's fit for the semi-finals or the final should we make it, which is still some way away. But you do have to think they probably wouldn't bother putting him in the squad if there wasn't a small chance he was going to be fit. After all, he wasn't in the squad for the group games, and it would have been ridiculous if he was, because he wouldn't have been able to play any of them. So I'm going to look at this with hope and optimism. Has his recovery gone faster than we'd hoped? Is he going to come back the player that we saw glimpses of in the pre-season and in the Community Shield and, of course, the first half of that first game of the season? I really hope so, because I've said it consistently. Now Arteta said it as well. Everyone who knows anything about our squad has said we are very thin at the back. But the other player who could play at the back, and who apparently is much closer to return than we had initially feared, is Thomas Partey. Now, Thomas Partey is a player that we signed from Atletico Madrid and had never really had an injury, but his time at Arsenal has been beset by injury problems. It's almost worth reminding everybody that Thomas Partey was one of the best midfielders in the Premier League last season, and a really big part of why we did so well. He fell away a little bit at times, but perhaps because he was over-relied on. He has gone missing for the big games. I mean, literally not been available for the big games. And all of the speculation is that he is going to be sold this summer, with many reports saying that we're going to replace him with Martin Zubimendi. I'm not looking as far ahead as some are just now. There is business to be done before then. Certainly, having Thomas Partey as an option is going to make a really big difference. Again, it would be like a brand new signing. So if we could maybe see Jurien Timber and Thomas Partey come back, it gives Arteta the kind of options. Jorginho was outstanding against Liverpool, but he's the kind of player you bring in for some games, not necessarily every game. Thomas Partey and Declan Rice is a midfield I think we all wanted to see. I don't know how much more we're going to see Kai Havertz in the midfield, and I'm going to leave it up to you whether you should see him at all. Some of you will think he had a fantastic game against Liverpool. Others will think he was kind of average and at least should have scored when he was through on goal. And if you are going to be a forward and you can't score one-on-one with a keeper, that's a worrying sign. Leaving that conversation to one side, today's news is that Thomas Partey may well, although he's not going to be fit against West Ham, may well be coming back within the next couple of weeks. And we certainly are going to need him for some of the big games coming up. In other news, there's still the possibility that Cedric will in fact go to Turkey, although it's looking ever so much less likely now. But the Turkish League has until the 9th of February, so just 2 days, to confirm players. So it's not impossible we'd see him go. And Marquinhos is in Brazil at the moment in the pre-Olympic qualifiers, the reason that his loan was ended. And there is a very good chance that he will be staying in Brazil after that tournament. Don't know where yet. Could be Fluminense. I love watching them, so I kind of love to see him play out there. And it's not clear if that's being considered as a permanent move or not. But look, we spent $3.5 million on Marquinhos. His first game with Arsenal, full of excitement, but it hasn't really worked out that way for him. So more on that as we get it. But it looks like he's going to be staying in Brazil, and he hasn't been selected in the Champions League squad. I've seen no news on Vieira, the other player who's out. But, it doesn't really bother me. I think we've got more than enough in that team. But with Thomas Partey and Jurien Timber potentially back for some point of this season, things are starting to look like we might really be in with a shout for this title. Let me know in the comments how you feel about it. If you know any more than I do about the return of these two players. If you think that Jurien Timber has just been selected in case he's fit and there's no real evidence that he's going to be, then do hit the comments and let me know about it. Also, you've got to this point. I really appreciate it if you smash a like. I don't really ask for much, do I? Hit a like, hit subscribe, and send some money in the post. I'm a brown envelope merchant after all. Anyway, that was a short update on Arsenal's positive injury news for a change. Till I see you again. Be lucky. Lots of love.